It's hard to believe such a thing could be true, and I hope such a thing never happens to you. But it happened, they say, to poor Maizey McGrew, and it happened like this.
She was sitting one day at her desk in her school in her usual way when she felt a small twitch on the top of her head.
So Maizey looked up and she almost dropped dead. Something peculiar was going on there. A daisy was sprouting right out of her hair.
Behind her was sitting young Herman Butchstrudel.
This looks like a daisy up here on a noodle. This doesn't make sense. How could this be so? A noodle's no place for a daisy to grow.
Then up spoke another boy, Einstein Van Tass, the brightest young man in whole of the class.
It's a very odd place to be sprouting a daisy, but nevertheless, one is growing on Maizey.
Hey, look it!
Right, Butch.
Right here in this room, Daisy Head Maizey is bursting in bloom.
Miss Nature, the teacher, came rushing up quick.
Such nonsense! Some child here is playing a trick. Which one of you boys stuck that thing in her hair? You know that a daisy could never grow there.
But teacher, said Butch, I saw the thing rise right out of her head with my very own eyes. Give it a yank if you think I tell lies.
But Miss Nietzsche had heard quite enough of this talk.
Maizey, hold still. Let me get that stalk.
Ouch!
Hollered Maizey.
Quit yanking, Butch said. You're giving her pains. I bet that those roots go way down to her brains.
The kids in the class started shouting like crazy.
Daisy head, Daisy head, Daisy head, Maizey. Daisy head, Daisy head, Daisy head, Maizey.
Children, be quiet. Good grief and ours.
Miss Nature was shocked by the noise in her class.
I've taught in this room for 20 years, maybe more, but I've never seen anything like this before. I'll have to report it. You'll just have to come to the principal's office and show Mr. Grump.
My word, he declared. It's a genuine daisy. I've seen them quite often in fields growing wild, but never before on the head of a child. Now what in the world ever made this thing sprout? I have no idea, but I'm going to find out. It says here, daisies grow on the land, they grow between rocks, they grow also in sand. It mentions right here that they can grow in a pot, but mentions the head of a girl, it does not. Daisies, it says, sometimes grow in Alaska, also Missouri, Rhode Island, Nebraska. They grow in Japan and in Spain and Peru, in India, France, and Idaho too. They grow in South Boston and also in Rome, but why should they grow on this little girl's dome?
Ouch! Watch out!
Said Maizey. It's wilting, it's drooping. How wonderful, Maizey. Soon it will be dead and you'll be rid of that daisy. In just a few minutes our troubles will pass,
declared Mr. Grum.
Take her back to class.
Then the principal saw the most terrible sight. The daisy was dying and that was all right. But the daisy was part of poor Maizey McGrew and Maizey started to wilt away too.
Teacher,
Said Grum.
you know what? I think they're both going to die. Hurry, bring them a drink. That daisy, that girl's the worst problem in town. You take her away and make her lie down. You lock her up tight in that room down the hall. There are quite a few numbers that I've got to call. Get Maizey's parents on the end of the line. I need them here quickly while there is still time.
On the phone, Maisie's mum asked,
What's all the fuss?
Then,
Goodness to Betsy, I'll have to catch the next bus.
A call to the shoe store reached Mr. McGrew. He answered by holding a customer's shoe.
McGrew? Yes, this is... Oh no, I really must go.
a doctor should see her,
The principal said.
and an expert on plants like the one on her head.
Oh, what a trick. My stethoscope's packed. I'll be there in a tick.
Wait, though.
Said her patient.
I'll come along too. My brother's a vet. He knows it's Mr. McGrew.
When she heard, Finch the florist grabbed for her shears.
I'll be there as soon as my truck can shift gears.
Meanwhile, poor Maizey lay down on the couch, the daisy slumped down and the leaves in a slouch. But the window was open because it was warm, and the sweet-smelling daisy attracted a swarm of bees.
Buzz! Bees! Bees! The faster she ran, the faster they flew, so Maizey kept running. What else could she do?
She attempted to hide behind Officer Thatcher, who cupped out his sign like a bumblebee catcher.
The bees couldn't sign Thatcher said,
I'm not fooled! And ran after Maizey back to the school.
Principal Grum didn't know what to do.
It's worse, cried Miss Nature. Much worse than we feared. Daisy and Maizey have both disappeared.
Meanwhile, chasing Maizey were Mr. McGrew, chased by a customer chasing his shoe. Finch, the florist, Dr. Eisenbart too. Dr. Eisenbart too, patient, and Mrs. McGrew.
Then through the door with Officer Thatcher, who slammed the door shut so the bees wouldn't catch her, jumped Maizey McGrew to the chair in a splatter, with the daisy still there except taller and fatter.
My poor little daughter, the daisy is true. I'm going to faint,
cried Mrs. McGrew. Tut, tut, said the florist.
There is no need for tears, just because there's a daisy growing between her two ears. I'll snip it off with my sharp pruning shears.
She's my patient, don't touch her. You must stand apart. We must have some room,
said Dr. Eisenbart.
I think Maizey and her plant could help me get a research grant.
Then the door opened wide, and the mayor stepped inside. At meetings and greetings there is none to compare. She was the best at long speeches, cloak full of hot air.
I promise my friends that if I'm re-elected, this daisy on Maizey will be disconnected. The law of our father is simple and sound. Daisy belongs and should stay in the ground. The rest are illegal. We'll bar them from town.
From the back came a voice, sometimes loud, sometimes sleek, of a wheeler and dealer who knew every trick.
I'm Finnegan Agent. You've heard of me, I'm sure. I represent young what's his name, and others know at all. But Maizey, you're so special. Please let me shake your hand. Your talent is a wondrous thing, unique in all the land. Daisy head Maizey, sped out in bright light, with joy kids to the day and parents at night. Daisy head Maizey, you've got quite an act. Just stick with me, kid, and sign this contract.
Your flower needs to sign too,
Her mother said.
Maizey, don't be a fool.
And the principal begged her not to leave the school, but Maizey didn't stop to blink. She signed her name in think-proof ink, and the daisy signed too.
Daisy head fever was gripping the nation. It had quickly become a worldwide sensation. Daisy had burgers and Daisy had drinks. Daisy had stockings and Daisy had sinks. Daisy had buttons and Daisy had bows. Maizey was famous the star of her shows.
Fame had knocked on Maizey's door. Now she had it all and more. Piles of money stacked in tens, but what is money without friends? A dream had led her far astray. That was the price that she had to pay.
Maizey McGrew ran night and day, nowhere to go, nowhere to stay, because she was sure that everyone must have written her off in total disgust, over and over again in her head. These are the words that poor Maizey said.
I can never go home. Nobody loves me. Nobody loves me.
Nobody loved her, poor Maizey McGrew. It's hard to believe such a thing could be true. And maybe that's why, then, this daisy above, when Maizey Bellow began talking of love. You know about daisies, when love is in doubt, the job of a daisy is try and find out.
They love her. They love her not. They love her. They love her not. Don't worry, Maizey. They love you.
They love me!
Well, that's how it all happened. The thing went away, and Maizey McGrew is quite happy today. Back at her studies and doing just great in all her subjects in room number 8.
And concerning that daisy, you know that it never grew out of the top of her head again, ever.